Hey everybody, it's Gordon Miller. Welcome to Live at 5 and the Truth Unfiltered. Okay, so, all right, let's see what we got here. So today, I'm going to talk about laying out a roadmap for success that I wish I had when I actually got started. And I've posted videos on different parts of this, but the whole point is to kind of have a single video that people can watch that gives them a better idea of how to put all the pieces together. And so I'm going to start doing this from now on. I'm going to do the first 30 minutes is going to be kind of me talking about whatever topic. Live at 4:55. I love that. Yeah, that's about right. So I'm going to be using the first 30 minutes to talk about whatever the topic is. I'm going to choose topics for the course of the day. Today we're going to talk about the roadmap to success. Wednesday, Live at 5 is going to be about relationships and what I refer to as relationship vectors. And then on Friday, I'm going to do a rare thing where I don't usually get very political, but I'm going to get political, and we're going to talk about the state of things here in America and things like that. So anyway, I am going to get started today on the roadmap to success. And so I'm going to try to hit on all the topics. I don't have notes. I haven't prepared a script. This is completely unscripted, and things like that. For those on YouTube, I'm sorry about the slightly darker implementation. I'm not sure what's working better on the thing on Instagram, but anyway. And for those of you worried about my health and safety, I'm sorry. I'm, enjoying a cigar. The weather's beautiful. It's like 80 degrees out here, and it's beautiful on the back porch. So, all right. So here is the roadmap to success I wish I had when I got started. So the first question I get a lot of is, do I need to go to college? No, you don't. In fact, I'll take questions towards the end, but we're going to focus on the topic at hand today. We'll do the political stuff on Friday. So you don't need to go to college necessarily. I've seen some people who started their own business out of their high school career. They had been through the various certification programs. They got certified all throughout their high school career, and they didn't need to go to college because they were already consulting and getting their own consulting gigs, through and making between $100,000 and $150,000 a year while they were in high school, their junior and senior year. If you get all your certifications, like your security certifications, your Microsoft certifications, your Cisco certifications, your, whatever. I mean, you get all the certifications in the world, and you're going to focus on technical stuff, then you don't necessarily need a college degree in computer science or hardware engineering or things like that, because you're going to be way further along the curve by all the certifications than you would if you had gone to school and got no certifications and waited 4 more years and things like that. So, and Daryl, I appreciate that. Exactly. Daryl Watkins. So Daryl, you're exactly the right guy, in this kind of situation. You're exactly right. I mean, if you are going to hustle and you've got the experience and you're going to focus on those 4 years and really kind of get experience and you're going to make it work, then you don't need a degree. I mean, a degree is absolutely useless to you. And hey, Mom, how you doing? So one of the things that, I'm always glad that, I worked and got my degrees. I have a bachelor's of fine art and design. I have a master's in architecture. And once I became faculty at Virginia Tech, I worked on my PhD in human factors engineering, first in industrial and systems engineering and then computer science. And then I lobbied to have the two departments combined into one. And as faculty, that was a lot easier to do than if I had been a student. So I think there is an enormous value in having a degree, but a degree is not necessary in terms of the roadmap to success. So the very first branch on your roadmap to success is, am I going to get a degree or am I not going to get a degree? And so that first branch is an important one, because if you have the motivation and if you have the vision and if you have the personality, the mentality, and the hard work initiative and things like that, then you'll be great. You'll do just fine. In fact, you'll have a 4-year jump on everybody else who's getting a degree. So there's some benefit to that as well. So what the first thing that's going to determine whether you're going to be a success or not is whether you get a degree or not, and what you do with that 4 years. If you use that 4 years to develop your own following, do a bunch of consulting work, get 4 years of experience, then you are going to be better off during that 4 years. And most people are getting paid $100 an hour. They get $1,000, 1,000 hours worth of consulting a year. They do 100,000 a year. And if you graduate with a degree with no experience from a major university, then you are going to end up with a job that's going to pay you about 75,000 a year if you're lucky. So why in the world would anybody get a degree? No. I mean, that's something you have to ask yourself. Most of the people who actually don't go the route of doing it themselves and focus on getting a degree need that construct around which they're going to get their education. And there's nothing wrong with that. It's just a reality of that construct. So the first thing to really kind of reconcile is whether or not you're going to get a degree. And we talked about that. So the next thing is, I hear people talk about all the time, hey, I'm in college, I'm not sure if I'm going to finish, I had this opportunity to start my own business, should I finish? So, of course, everybody always points to the fact that, Bill Gates never finished, Larry Ellison never finished, Steve Jobs never finished, and that's great. There are a number of people who didn't finish, who weren't, it was not detrimental to them in terms of their success, and they became billionaires. But understand that for every one person that did that, there are hundreds of thousands, if not millions, of other people who didn't end up becoming Bill Gates or Larry Ellison or Steve Jobs. And so those people would have benefited from finishing their degree. I think if you're at least 2 years away from finishing, 18 months, 2 years, I think you should finish. I think you're going to regret not finishing. In fact, on some of our government contract stuff, you actually don't qualify to be on our team to be a part of that unless you finished your degree. I can't bill you out at $85 an hour or $75 an hour and give you half of it and let you make $85,000 a year if you didn't finish school. You're looking at $50,000, $58,000 at most, maybe $60,000 on the outside, and $60,000 a year on 2,000 hours a year is somewhere around $30 an hour. So you're not going to get more than $30 to $50 an hour, and you're not going to be able to get where you want to be if you don't have your degree. So I would always recommend that if you've started and you've gotten about halfway or more, and you think that you've got an opportunity to be successful, that I think you should go ahead and finish anyway and do both at the same time for a couple more years. All right, so we talked about whether or not you should go to school at all. Then we talked about what you should do if you're already in school and thinking about leaving. Now let's talk about what you're going to do after school. And the thing that we see the most often is people start talking about whether or not they should get a job or start their own business. And I got a couple questions from A friend of mine in Lebanon earlier today, and so this is really kind of to his question. So the issue is that I recommend that everybody, no matter who you are, everybody work for somebody else for 5 years. So 5 years, you need to work for somebody else. The reason is that you don't know what you don't know about running a business, or about owning your own business, or about working in period at all. You have no experience in the real world. And so therefore, because you have no experience in the real world, you need some actual practical experience. That's easier to get in an environment where you have a job, a job. And everybody's like, well, I don't want to have a job. That's bullshit. I'm going to just work for myself. Well, you know what? 96% of all the businesses that start up fail, and most of them are because they're undercapitalized, or they don't understand what they don't know about business, and they make some major mistake along the way. I was very lucky. I've had my company for 27 years. Started my first company when I was 28, about a week before my 29th birthday, and we're still an operating company. So most companies don't last 5 years. A smaller fraction of those last 10 years. The number of ones that last more than 10 years, 15, 20, 25 years, we're approaching our 30th year. That's 1/10 of 1% probably. So the goal here is learn what you don't know about being in business from another company who's willing to pay you to be an employee. And everybody's like, I don't want to be an employee. An employee is a bad thing to be. Well, look, you don't know what you're doing. You don't know what's going on. You don't know what you don't know. And there's absolutely nothing wrong with taking a job and working for 5 years. You get out of college, assuming you finish college, and if you're going to do consulting work and skip college, then that's one thing. You'll have some experience. You'll be, building rapport and relationships with your clients and things like that. So this may not necessarily apply, but I still believe that it's a good idea to work for somebody else for along the way for a total of 5 years. I worked for 5 years as the director of the multimedia lab at Virginia Tech. Before that, I spent a year and a half or so as the co-founder for the Lab for Scientific Visual Analysis at Virginia Tech, and I learned an enormous amount during that time. I am so grateful. And if you look at my YouTube channel, my mentorship videos to all my mentors during that time, Ron Daniel, Wayne Clough, Ron Kriz, all those people played an enormous role in my success during that time. I would not have had the opportunity to do any of the stuff that I have done over the last 27 years if it had not been for them and what they did to support my activities during that time. So I think it's important that you do whatever you can to be a part of a larger organization and get that done. And I think you'll learn a lot in the process. A lot of negative things, a lot of positive things. I think it can be overall a very positive experience. But I think you'll go a long way towards doing what you need to do. So, while you're actually working for this other company, if you want to start your own company, if that's something that you want to do, the best time to start a company is when you're working for somebody else. So I started as director of the multimedia lab in 1992, and in January of 1992, and in November of 1993, I started G3 Systems. We incorporated the business officially in November of 1994, a year later. It was run as a sole proprietorship prior to that, primarily consulting work. And so the benefit to that was that I was being paid by my employer, and that money was giving me money that I could use to operate my business. So I took $5,000 that I had saved from my consulting work in the early part of 1993. And since I had no summer support through the university, I was able to spend more time over the summers working on projects and other things like that. And by November of '93, I was able to really officially start the company. And it gave me an opportunity to really go through the process that I think not a whole lot of people get the benefit of going through. So, so the point of all that is that the best time to start a company is when you have another job. And the whole idea is that you take the money that you're making from your job, you live on half of it, and you put the other half, you invest the other half essentially into your business. And that's what I did. I ended up putting money out of my own pocket into the company and continuing to watch it grow. And it did very well. And I recommend any time that you want to start a company that you do so while you're fully employed with somebody else, and you work out the schedule. You end up working 8 to 10 hours a day for your actual job. You work 8 to 10 hours more for the company. And people have commented, yeah, but I got an hour-long commute, and I got an hour back, and I got a wife or a girlfriend, or I got this and that. I got to do laundry. I got to take a shower. I got to do whatever. I've never seen so many, motherfucking reasons why people couldn't, it's like, by the time I'm done, I got like 3 hours once I get 6 to 8 hours of sleep and this, that, and the other. Don't fucking sleep, sleep for 3 or 4 hours, learn to fucking survive on less sleep, get your shit done. But, stop making fucking excuses for why you can't start a company. If you're going to make excuses why, I need 8 hours of sleep, so I'm only going to have like 3 hours a day to work on my business. You know what? You're not going to be successful anyway, so fuck you. I mean, that's just the dumbest goddamn excuse I've ever heard. I need 8 hours of sleep or I can't function. You know what? You need 8 hours of sleep or you can't function. You are not going to survive. So, you know what? Don't fucking try. There's no way in the world that it's going to be successful. So, just save yourself the trouble and the effort and just pack it in now. Work your job, and if you're not going to hustle and you're not going to get it done, then that's just bullshit. I'm tired of the excuses why everybody can come up with 1,000 excuses why they can't work their ass off to get what they want. But so for me, I'm just not sympathetic to that. So now we're talking about going from being an employee to owning your own business. And eventually, for me, that transition happened when I made as much in a month in gross revenue as I made all year long at my normal job. And I was like, this is bullshit. I mean, I was making about $48,000 a year at the university, about 100 and some thousand in today's money. And I started making 40, 50,000 a month at the company. And so I was like, okay, well, this is bullshit. I mean, why would I do that? I should just focus on the company, grow the company. And I had 90 days worth of money in the bank. And I quit my job at the anniversary of my 5-year contract. My contract was up anyway. And in February of 97, I told the university that I wasn't interested in renewing my contract, and I appreciated it, but I was going to go focus on owning my own company. And so the benefit to that is, is that after 30 days of focusing on the company, I had enough revenue, enough projects booked in. Our backlog was 14 months. And we continue to work off that backlog for the next 5 years. And that's the kind of commitment, the kind of focus you have to have in order to be successful. If you're not familiar with the Robert Kiyosaki book, Rich Dad, Poor Dad, it talks about the 4 quadrants, and it talks about going from an employee to self-employed, which is what you just did. You just created a really nice job for yourself. And it took me, unfortunately, way too long to realize that all I had done was go from creating, from being employed to being self-employed, where I was turning $400,000 a year based on my own billable hours. And And unfortunately, that is not a strategy for long-term success. It's all about trading dollars for hours and things like that. And that's all good. I mean, that's the way most people do it. But if you are self-employed and you're bringing in 2, 3, 400,000 a year or more because you're billing your own hours, you are not a business owner. You are self-employed because your success, your amount of money is dependent upon your ability to work and make money and bill hours. And so if you're billing hours, you are not where you need to be. It took me from 1993 to around 2004, 2003 to understand that. I read Robert Kiyosaki's book in the 2003, 2004 kind of time frame, and honestly, it changed my life. I mean, I realized that I needed to give up all of the hours I was billing. So for 2 solid years, I didn't bill a single thing. I gave up $800,000 worth of billable hours in order to be a business owner, which means I have other people doing work for me, and I don't have to worry about what I'm billing in order to make money. I hired more people, we took on more projects, and we continued to expand the opportunities, and that's when things really took off. I mean, for us, in 08, 09, 2012, 2013, our best years ever, ridiculous amounts of money, larger teams, larger projects, crazy stuff we would never have done if I hadn't made that transition back in 2004, 2005. So the next step is in 2008, I started my own venture group at G3I Ventures, and that was with a buddy of mine Bruce Froelich. Bruce owned a company called Infometron, and so G3I Ventures is a combination between G3, my company, and Infometron, the I, and iPod, iPhone, stuff like that was very popular during that. The iPhone had just come out the year before. So G3I Ventures was, what we came up with. And later on, I bought my buddy out, and when he just really kind of wanted to go back into retirement and didn't want to do that. And so now I own 100% of G3I Ventures. But that's when I began to be a business, not just a business owner, but an investor, where I became a minority investor or an equal partner in multiple businesses. And I started my second company in 99, third company in 04, another one in 05, and things like that. So I continued along the way to invest in other companies, but I really began focusing on that as a strategy in 08. So the benefit here is that we talked about going to school or not going to school. We talked about what you're going to do with your time and making sure you finish if you're at least halfway through. We talked about getting a real job for 5 years and being able to get the experience of knowing what you don't know. Because, there are a lot of things I didn't know when I first started out. I really wish I had a good understanding of that. And some of the stuff that, is entailed in that, I'm going to put in my book that's coming up. So, but the real benefit is you go from having a job to essentially having your own company, but you're self-employed because you're the one who's working the hours. You hire more people. Eventually, you go from being self-employed to being a business owner and having other people do a majority of the work, 90+% of the work, so that the money that you make is really contingent upon other people's performance and not your own. And so the benefit is that then you can eventually, as you make money, you can invest that money as a business, as an investor in other opportunities, the way I started to do in 2010. Now, let's talk about investing, because this is where people start asking some other questions that are important. So people ask me all the time, what's the best thing in the world I can invest in? And my number one answer is the best thing to invest in is you. And they're like, So, if you invest in your own self, in your own education, in your own, you sort of learn to earn, and whether that's earning in your own job and you decide to skip owning your own company, or you decide that you're going to do something else, that's fine. But the number one place to spend money is on yourself, and people are like, I kind of get that, but the reality is that the two things we're going to talk about today in the investing side of things, aside from owning your own business, because we kind of talked about that, and we'll do a little bit more on that another day. But the two things that people talk about is, hey, I want to invest in stocks, or I want to invest in Forex or cryptocurrency, or I want to invest in this, or I want to invest in real estate. So let's take each of those and kind of talk about them a little bit more. So we'll do real estate first. So I am not a huge fan of investing in real estate. And, first of all, people kind of gloss over the fact that, yes, you can, owning individual houses is one strategy. If you check out Meet Kevin on YouTube, or Graham Stephan or things like that, they own individual houses and things like that. Well, you know what? That's great. The problem is that most everybody who is a real estate investor is one of two things. They are either they are a small investor starting out, where they are buying individual or multifamily houses or whatever, and so they're getting a 30-year mortgage, and they talk about, my real estate portfolio is X million dollars. Well, you know what? That's wonderful. So if your real estate portfolio is, let's say, $3 million, do you know what that means? That means you paid $3 million. The value of the real estate that you bought is $3 million. And a lot of people talk about, being a real estate millionaire. Well, I got news for you. You don't own that real estate. The bank owns it, and you have a lease against it. And if you're lucky, each property is cash flowing less than $1,000 a month. So that's not a strategy for you becoming rich. That is a strategy for the banks becoming rich, because if you have $3 million in real estate, you're about to pay $6 million over 30 years. And if you have tenants, that's great. Your tenants will pay that for you. But it's going to take you 30 years to be able to execute on that strategy, because you're going to pay that shit off, or your tenants are going to pay it off. But you're going to have HVAC systems, and you're going to have roofs, and you're going to have a whole bunch of other shit that's going to need work during that time. They're going to fuck it up. It's going to be vacant. There's a lot of other issues in there that you're going to need. There's property taxes and a bunch of other stuff to consider. And most real estate properties don't cash flow more than about $1,000 a month each. So if you have $3 million in real estate, even if you have, like, let's say 10 $300,000 houses, and you manage to get to that, as you get started and you buy the first house, you're only going to make $1,000 a month. It's kind of hard to save up for the down payment that you need. Your down payment's going to be 20 to 25% on the $300,000 house. So where are you going to get the $60,000? If you're going to save up the cash flow from one property, it's $1,000 a month. You need 60 months. That's 5 years, my friend. You're going to wait 5 years to buy your second house, and then 5 more years to buy your third, and 5 more years to buy your next one. It doesn't work out. People that continually say that real estate, 90% of all millionaires did it in real estate. 90% of all millionaires claim they're a millionaire because of the value of their portfolio that the bank owns most of, and that you're going to pay twice the value of the house in order to be able to own. So, you have to read between the lines. You have to stop believing the lies. You have to do the math yourself. And real estate is not the way to end up getting to build wealth. Real estate is a way to make the banks rich, because you're going to take a $300,000 house that'll never be worth more than $450,000, and you're going to pay $600,000 for it over 30 years. And that means that while your tenants are paying for it and things like that, but you're not making a whole bunch. Once it's paid off, you make some money, but that's 30 years from now. You really want to, put all your money back into the property over 30 years, and then eventually 30 years from now, you get to retire making some money. That sucks to me. I mean, you're not really making any real money. And on down the line, the house is only going to be worth so much. So if it's $2,000 a month now, it's only going to be $3,000 a month down the line. So 30 years from now, the buying power that you're going to get from the rent is going to be proportional to what you already are getting now. And so, it really isn't that much. Real estate is kind of a sucker's game. Commercial real estate and multifamily real estate, is a little different. I wouldn't own commercial real estate for anything. Right now, multifamily is still the way to go if you're going to do it, but you need 10 to 12 units or more. And even then, it's still the same way. Now, the other way to make money is as an aggregator, when you're brokering the deals, and that's what Grant Cardone does. Grant gets paid 6% on the way in, he gets paid 6% a year to manage the property, and he gets paid 6% on the way out when they sell. Grant Cardone doesn't care about if the value goes up or the value goes down on the property. He actually doesn't even care if they fucking pay their rent. It doesn't matter to him. He doesn't care. All the other investors are on the hook for majority of the money anyway. So, if there's $1 million shortfall in rent, Grant's only on the hook for $100,000 of it, and he got paid his 6% on the way in. So if it's a $10 million, $20 million property, he got paid his, 6 to 8 million, or not 600, 1.2 million or so, on the way in. So, he can afford to take his losses out of the money he was paid in advance. He gets paid an annual management fee of 6%. And if the investors ultimately say, you know what, this property isn't worth holding, we're going to go ahead and just kill it and we're going to collect our money. Well, Grant gets paid another 6% on the way out, on top of whatever other commissions there might be to whoever the real estate broker is. So, don't get caught up in the lies that people are trying to tell you about what it's like to build wealth in real estate. Those people are not giving you the complete picture of what it's like to make money in real estate, unfortunately. And so what are the options? Well, let's look at those. So somebody asked, okay, so real estate isn't that great. So what's next? Well, so they go, what, the stock market? And so for me, I've done this on multiple videos. So my thing is that if you want to invest in the stock market, that's great. Do an index fund with a no-load mutual fund, hopefully in a Roth IRA, in an index fund of the Dow and the S&P 500. I would recommend 40% in the S&P 500, 40% in an index fund of the Dow, and call it a day. No fees. Don't worry about your losses. Just let it ride. Put $1,000 a month or more away in it when you can, and continue to let it ride. And over 40 years, from the time you're 20 to the time you're 60, then it will continue to create about $1.6 to $1.8 million based on historical trends. It's down right now, but it'll go back up, so I'm not worried about that. And people are like, well, what if I want to buy Tesla? I mean, it's up like 300%. Yeah, okay. So again, that's 40% of your money is going to go into the index fund of the S&P 500. 40% is going to go into an index fund of the Dow, and 10% is a speculative account that you don't care what happens. You can buy stocks with it. You can do whatever. That's sort of, I consider it kind of like your mad money. You can buy cryptocurrency. I would buy some gold. I would buy, Under Armour, Netflix, whatever, Tesla, Apple, whatever. I would buy whatever individual stocks you feel, make you happy. But if it goes to zero, it doesn't matter because you have most of your money in stuff that's going to continue to perform. The other 10% is in cash. So if you have $1,000 a month, put 400 into the index of the S&P 500, 400 into the Dow, you put 100 into your Mad Money account for your individual speculative trades or gold or cryptocurrency or whatever, and $100 you put in cash that just sits in the bank. So that's really the extent of how difficult stock investing should be. 70 plus, 76, 78% of the money managers out there, 70 plus percent end up not beating the S&P 500 or the Dow index fund. So that means that 3/4 or more of all the people that do this for a living, pick stocks for a living, claim they're gonna take 2% management fee every year and 20% of your profits, and they're gonna basically give you advice that in most cases sucks worse than just picking the actual thing I just gave you. I don't know why in the world anybody would do that. That makes absolutely no sense at all. So it's just complete bullshit. So in terms of cryptocurrency, forex trading, things like that, all of that I think is is akin to gambling. If you want to go to Las Vegas for a weekend, I have a system that I invented when I was 14 on how to win at roulette, and I've won a significant amount of money over the years playing roulette, and so I typically only win enough to pay for my trip at the time and things like that. If I win too much, the casinos get kind of wise to it. But unfortunately, when I play at the casinos, they know me by name, even if I'm not staying at that casino. So, they'll come up to me. The pit boss will come up to me, and I had won at one table and moved to another table, but I didn't realize that I got up in the middle of a play, and the pit boss came over to me and he says, Mr. Miller, it's customary that our players pick up their winnings at one table before moving to another. And so it was pretty funny, but they knew who I was, they knew where I was staying, they knew how much I had won at every casino in town and things like that, and it just is what it is. But cryptocurrency, lottery tickets, all that other stuff is just more bullshit. I don't really recommend any of that. I think you're much better off focusing on stuff that actually matters. And so we talked about real estate, which I'm not too fond of. We talked about stock investing. The other thing is, in terms of investing in yourself, in terms of your own education, investing time and money and effort, buying courses and doing whatever. And that could be everything from Tai Lopez's 67 steps. Click on the link in the description. Nah, there's no link. That's all right. There's no description either. But I happen, people talk all the time about, should I buy this course or that course? Most courses are complete crap. Those guys make an enormous amount of money. They typically make 6 to 7 figures selling you the course. Notice I have no course. So, I don't begrudge them that. I think some of those courses have some decent information in them, and I've purchased a number of them just to kind of see what they're all about. And but I don't necessarily recommend any particular one. I don't know that that's going to help anybody one way or the other, but it is what it is. That's really kind of where we're at. So we talked about whether or not you're going to go to college, finishing school if you're going to go to college, getting a job working someplace else, starting your own business if you want to, moving from being self-employed to being a business owner where other people work and you make money because you've got a bunch of other people working for you. And then the investment side of becoming a business investor, whether that's investing in the stock market or in real estate or in other things like that, or investing in other businesses. You certainly can invest in starting other businesses. That's what I've done. I've continued to invest the money that I've made over the years into other businesses, and those other businesses have continued to create other opportunities that have allowed me to continue moving forward. So, okay. So we are about 40 minutes in, and I want to take a look at some of the comments, and we'll go back and answer any questions you might have. I figured we'd do 30-40 minutes of the topic. Instagram's going to cut us off here, not going to answer any political questions. We talked about that before. I'll deal with politics on Friday. So, Daryl Watkins has said, no degree here, been successful, don't regret not having it. Yeah, Daryl, I think you're the perfect example of that. It's been great, understanding what your journey has been. I appreciate the feedback, and you're exactly one of the ones that I would think of when I think of that. So, do you have an opinion to go to college and major in political science? They then earn a JD, could major in finance, earn an MBA. Which is better for your success? What's better for your success is something that you actually care about. So I don't think that it's a matter of one degree being better than another. I'm not a huge fan of political science. I'm not a huge fan. JD is your legal degree. Doctors of jurisprudence and an MBA. I think the degree is what you make of it as well as the opportunity. So it really kind of just matters what you're going to do with the time that you're there. I do know that MBA degrees, universities require that you have 5 years of work experience for a reason. They don't want people who don't have any work experience going through the MBA program. So when I see guys that go through their 4 years of undergrad and then immediately to their 2 years for their MBA, you don't have any work experience. So the experience is not really going to be as beneficial for you as you might think. I would recommend you actually work for a company and then get your MBA, let them pay for it so you graduate with no debt. I recommend people work their way through college as well so you don't actually have any student loans. And I recommend that, as long as if they make you sign a contract, I would go 5 years after you get your MBA with the company, and then, it's well worth doing that. So, or I could do business finance like my cousins and leverage other investors' money to make my own. Yep, well, that's certainly a way. Daryl says, hustle, name of the game. If you've got no hustle, continue to work your job. Yeah, you're exactly right, man. I love Rich Dad, Poor Dad. Yep, it's a great book. Changed my life, really did. All right, let's see what YouTube has to say. In my opinion, it seems like valid reasons for going something down to the connections you make. Boils down to the connections you make, and B, credibility to get for hiring. Yeah, I mean, certainly that can play a role. Hi, Gordon. Good to see you. Thank you for sharing your experience and wisdom. Well, thank you very much. I appreciate that. It's what I enjoy doing. It's the first time that I'm putting it all together. Hey, Gordon, can you please do the live session 1 hour earlier? It's the middle of the night here in India. Well, no, sorry, I can't because majority of the people that I actually do business with are in the United States, whether it's California all the way to New York, as well as people in South America and Canada, either in Vancouver or Toronto, and also in Western Europe or even parts of Eastern Europe, where this time is the best. If 1,000 people from India want to start signing up for hour-long sessions at gordonmiller.com, then I'll do it whatever time you people motherfucking want me to do it. But, just simply making it easier for a bunch of people in India who aren't going to, benefit from what I'm doing, and they're not going to sign up, and I'm not going to create opportunities from helping people, then it really doesn't do me any good to have it at a time that's convenient for everybody in India, since I'm not doing deals in India anyway. How do you find trustworthy people to delegate? Well, again, that comes from experience of hiring people and, giving people the opportunity to determine whether or not they're going to be an integral part of the team or not. So I appreciate your answers on Quora. Greetings from Tunisia. Hey, I love Tunisia. I'd love to come visit sometime. Thanks a lot. How much money do you put into your 401k? Well, so that's an interesting thing. So we didn't talk about that yet. Um, the other thing that we didn't talk about specifically is the idea of compounded interest and the benefit that compounded interest provides. So the reason that you invest $1,000 a month in the various things is so that you benefit from you benefit from the magic of compounded interest, and so that's really the what is it's all about. It's about making money, and it's about continuing to have that money that you made make you more money. So it's all about the magic of compounded interest. And so let's see here. So if you're at a job where your employer matches your 401k up to like 6%, I would max out your 401k because it saves in ridiculous amounts of taxes. I forget what the limits are right now in the US, but your 401k, you can put an enormous amount of money, 12, 15,000, something like that per person. And I would recommend you max it all out and just make sure that it's invested properly inside the 401k. If you can do an index fund of the Dow and the S&P 500 like I suggested, then that's what I would do. How can I be certain about things after 40 years? What if the world messes up? Well, the world's pretty fucked up right now. So, people that were on the verge of retirement right now just lost 30% of everything in their portfolio. So that's going to delay some people being able to retire, which is kind of a shame. But, it'll bounce back. They shouldn't sell. People shouldn't go crazy and panic and things like that. So, things are going to go up, they'll go down. But the problem is that real estate is a 30-year play. You really start making your money after year 30 when the properties are paid off. It takes another 20 years to really make that money that you really hope to be making. That's 50 years. If you're, investing in the stock market, it's going to take 40 years for that $1,000 a month to become $1.8 million. So if you want to build a net worth of, in excess of a multi-million-dollar net worth, a $2 million net worth, which is what everybody should be striving for, more than $2 million, then it's going to take you 40 years doing stocks. It's going to take you 30 plus years just for the properties to be paid off. And then depending on the state of the properties, you have had all this other money you put in. By the time you make your money back, it's going to be pretty much 40 years. And all you have to do is do the math. I mean, this is not rocket science, people. It's just straight math. It's just the reality of what it is. And, and most people don't want to wait 40 years to build a $2 million net worth. Let's see here. What can, Gordon, what do you think about currency crisis? Do you think it's going to happen? Yeah, I think currency is a real issue. So yeah, I mean, it's obviously, currency's being hyperinflated, and it concerns me. Do you know Jordan Peterson? What do you think of him? So yes, I've had a number of posts about Jordan Peterson. I recommend the 5 Dimensions test at understandingmyself.com. I give that test to anybody who wants to work for me. So anybody who wants to work for me had better have a copy of their PDF that was generated from the site. And we actually administer the test again just to make sure that it's done properly and things like that. So I think Jordan Peterson has a great deal of insights on everything and everything else. So as far as all the civil unrest and other things like that, I'm not going to take any questions about that. I wish you all will, please don't comment about any of that. I was very vocal about that on Friday. So if you missed my broadcast on Friday, look it up on YouTube. Instagram banned my upload. So please don't ask any questions about all of what's going on in the civil unrest in the United States, and don't mention any specific, activities by name, please. I'm sick and tired of the censorship that Facebook and Instagram is providing here, and it makes my videos, impossible to upload. It makes it impossible to share them with people, and it's just complete bullshit. But we'll deal with all that stuff on Friday again. Friday is going to be the time when where I deal with that. So, have I ever hired an applicant with too little experience? Let's see, hang on a second. What do I think of Australia? How different is it from the United States? Well, I mean, Australia has a fantastic economy. For a country that used to be a penal colony where they fed lobsters to prisoners because nobody wanted to eat them, which is hilarious. I think Australian lobster, which is warm water lobster, is in many ways sweeter and better than some of the Maine and cold water lobsters here in the United States. So I happen to like Australia a lot. I think it has a strong economy. In terms of the non-Chinese economy, non-Asian economy countries, the U.S., Canada, and Australia, I think, have the strongest economies. And, I look forward to visiting Australia at some point. Anybody want me to come down? I'm happy to come down. So, let's see. Have I ever hired an applicant with little to no experience, and what factors convinced you to hire them? What is the biggest red flags when interviewing people? So I talked about the red flags for interviewing people in another video. And so I'll refer you to those. Was talking about, what, I've written about that and talked about hiring folks. We've hired a lot of people with no experience before, and as part of our internship program. And our director of systems integration started in 2000 as an intern during his senior year in college, and still works with us, today, 20 years later. So, it's great. I mean, we hire people, give them an opportunity to do their best, and some people who stand out really end up becoming an integral part of our team and our effort. All right, let's see what we got here. Let's see. You said you could max out $15K for the 401k, and you say invest in index funds. So investing $500 a month for both Roth and the 401k. Well, no, it depends on how your 401k is set up. You can have your own Roth separate from the 401k and pay in after-tax dollars, and that's fine too, depending on how much you make. And you're allowed to do that. For sure, if your company, the largest I've seen on matches is 6%. So if your company is going to give you 6% of your salary, let's say you make $100,000 a year, and the company's going to give you $6,000 for you putting $6,000 in, then you're going to put $12,000 a year into the 401k. As long as you get to pick what it's in, you can pick the index funds of if the fund you're invested in the 401k has that, and that's your $1,000 a month. That's $12,000 a year. It's $1,000 a month. If you want to do more than that, you can. But there are definitely ways to convert your 401k on down the line once you're 55. Let's see here. I was the victim of the latest prank on Instagram, so the name change wasn't my fault, which is why I requested you unblock me. Yeah, well, no, yeah, whatever, I'm not going to unblock you, sorry. How many languages do I speak? I speak numbers, money, English, and French. So it's 4 languages. What do you think about homeschooling? I think everybody's homeschooled these days. So unfortunately, so it is what it is. So, all right. So I have 5 minutes left. And I apologize because I'm going to have to actually keep the time because I actually have a call with somebody who booked a call in 10 minutes. So they saw my videos. They went to gordonmiller.com. They booked an hour-long call, and I'm looking forward to the call with them. So we'll keep this to 1 hour on both Instagram and YouTube. The question, let's see here. We got a couple questions on Instagram. Love the answers on Quora. Great job, Gordon. Thanks. Can you talk about hiring experience? Only after some time that we realize hiring mistakes. Any anecdotes? Yeah, I've got a bunch of those, but I'm not going to waste the last 4 or 5 minutes on that. I talked about that. I posted about it. But I may come back and revisit it. It's in some of my other videos. What about the Asian economies? I don't really know. Aside from China, I have friends in Singapore, I have friends in Jakarta, and I have a lot of respect for what's going on in the whole world out there. But it just really depends on what makes the most sense. For me, I'm good with all the economies that are out there. China is huge. There are billion-dollar family funds out there in China that are helping parts of Malaysia and other parts of Asia. And it just sort of is what it is. Anyway, let's see. So do you just put the money in and it doubles, or do you have to invest in something? Yeah, you have to invest. If you're going to put your money in a 401k, you have to determine what you're going to put it in. If you're lucky, the fund that you have will have an index fund of the Dow and the S&P 500 and things like that. I think 401ks are the biggest scam because there's enormous fees involved. There are management fees, there are success fees. Most of the stuff gets commissions for trading and other stuff like that. I worked with Gary Matsumoto, who was a Bloomberg investigative reporter who really kind of broke the story on all the problems that people have in terms of their all the fees in the 401k. I mean, most people put a bunch of money in their 401k over the years, and it doesn't do as well as an E-Trade or an Ameritrade, TD Ameritrade, or some other account that is going to be in an index fund of the Dow and the S&P 500. So it really just kind of depends. So, but anyway, this question from Instagram is, what about the Middle East? I actually enjoy the Middle East. I have friends in Abu Dhabi and Dubai. I've been to Dammam and Riyadh in the Kingdom of Saudi Arabia, KSA, and I've been to Doha in Qatar, and believe strongly that the Middle East is a great place to be. We had opportunities at the 2020 Expo in the Middle East this year, and unfortunately, due to coronavirus and stuff like that, all that stuff is kind of put on hold. So, but it's kind of unfortunate. I mean, the Middle East really has some significant opportunities. So, anyway, I have less than a minute left, and I want to thank everybody for joining me live at 5. Wednesday, we're going to be talking about relationships, and Friday, we're going to do what I refer to as politically incorrect. We're going to talk about politics here in the U.S. and things like that. 30 seconds left. If you have an interest in having me review something, you want to schedule some time, You can go to gordonmiller.com and book some time. Happy to talk with you. Unfortunately, I'm up against a hard stop at 6 o'clock for somebody who scheduled some time. So this will be it for me. And you can always catch this at youtube.com/GordonMiller or Instagram /Gordon.Miller. Thanks a lot. Appreciate it very much. And hope you all have a great day. Careful, girl. Got it? Good girl. All right, guys. Thanks a lot. Appreciate it. And peace out. And thanks for everything.